these are the colours that I'm using for the Arctic sunset. I have a deep red here, bright red. I've got a yellow and I've got some white, and I've made the coral coloured sunset by mixing these three with a touch of the white to create a coral. You'll get more of a coral the more of this red you use. It will go pinkier if you use more of this deeper red, magenta red. So just experiment and create yourself a pool here. The mid blue will be a mixture of two blues, like a cobalt blue and a blue that has a bit more of a green tone to it. I'll mix those two together again with some white, but I'll add a little bit of brown just to create a muddier tone to that. So those are the colours that I'm starting with, and I'm going to get my flat wash brush and I'm going to start washing onto the background. Before I do that, I think I'm going to put some highlights here with masking fluid just to edge the very brightest whites. There's actually not that much that's white, but mostly on this section here. So I'm going to work on to dry. Try and keep the colours strong. So I've got a blue section at the top, which I've mixed some pink in with that. I'm going to actually bring some blue in, cleaning my brush each time. The image does look as though it's very much banded in colour. These bright white sections are going to look quite bold to start with, but then by the time we take those away and work back into that, hopefully it will soften that effect. See what happens. Now we're coming back into the coral colour here. So just wash over and try and blend your colours. And then it's getting paler as it's coming down here onto the horizon with the icebergs, which will be actually quite dark eventually. Now this colour now reflects into this area here, so we're going to start with a quite a deep band, deep coloured band of the coral. So just keep looking at your colour, your photographic reference. So it doesn't matter if we go over section here because we can strengthen that colour up later. Now we're getting paler. And I could go completely over the top of here, but I want to try and keep the colour as pure as possible in that iceberg, make it quite blue. So I'm just going round. It's not that hard to do with a broad brush because it's got an edge. So you can do this. And don't forget your really highlighted areas are protected anyway with your masking fluid. Okay. So hopefully those colours will dry nice and strong. I'm going to dry it with a hairdryer now. I might want a little bit more blue in there, but actually I'm going to leave it for now and dry it. So I've dried it a bit with a hairdryer. It's not fully dry. I'm going to take this off now that appears in the sky. Because if I don't take it off now, it's going to be too harsh. So I'm going to work over that section, I think, again with a blue. Need to clean up the blue a little bit. God, I just splattered it, I think. Oh. Okay, so just kind of dotting into that, toning that down just a touch. It's all a bit of an experiment, to be honest. I'm going to get a harder line now where this is already dried. So what I'm trying to do here is just get that variation in texture here at the top of the sky. There does appear to me to be quite a bit of texture like going on there. So I'm just playing around with the shape of the bush, really. A bit of masking fluid still on there. Okay, so just got some highlights in there. So just kind of like this stylized effect that the bush is making. It peters away then as it's coming down to this colour here. So while it's still wet, you can add more colour, obviously, and play around with it. Quite fun. So that seems to be the only area of the sky that's got some texture into it. So just have fun. The top there, and then it seems to flatten out here. Seem to have an extra little bit of. Now I've changed the brush into a round brush, and I'm going to put some depth of colour into the bottom section here. So I've got the coral tones back in here, and there are some it's not exactly ripples, there's some suggestion of the flat, I don't know, what do you say, the flat effect of the water across here. And sort of trying to suggest distance as it tapers away. These lines are actually getting smaller. That will give the feeling that that water is just that little bit further away from you, like so. And then you don't seem to be able to see any more lines. And then here you've got some blue, well, blue-grey coming in, so replenishing that blue a bit on palette. I know you've got a big shadow here, but I'm going to go back to that. So just bringing some of that blue in to the ripples here, try and keep it quite clean and not too blended in. Maybe that's getting a bit dark. I think we've got some shadow underneath there, might try and put that in now. Okay, I'm just going to let that dry and then I'm going to address this shadow here. This is dried a bit now, so I'm going to put this shadow section in here. There are elements of the coral colour coming through, so I'm just going to leave gaps there. I will have to strengthen that, go back to it a touch. Just get as much as I can colour-wise in there now. Just using the side of the brush here just to, and holding it over so it just allows a little bit more of that colour to sit on the surface just for a second. Okay, just going to bring this colour into the shadow sections underneath these pieces here, and also here. Again, these little horizontal lines that the water makes just stops it from looking too flat. And then coming back into this section here, it's the shadow of this iceberg here. It is quite a lot paler, possibly. There's more texture in here because there's little pieces of broken ice. Darker shadow underneath this one. Maybe a shadow under the boat. Leave the boat till the end, get a nice sharp edge on that outline of the boat. Okay, I'm just bringing this colour forward